Hey, what's up, guys? This is TBone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. In today's episode, I want to go over a few teams, a few ideas that I came up with for this event when a Serpent strikes back. Now, the ideas here are really meant for people who don't have the full event team already and are struggling to build something that could be useful. And so I'm going to talk about the teams as well as the ideas behind why I made those decks. And I'm going to talk about the deck I am using as well. So I don't have the full event deck either, but I do have the Hard One Gorillas, which is a very core card in a lot of my Earth Slayer decks. And then I also have Unbreakable Sisterhood, and the Unbreakable Sisterhood does have the Chaotic Killer bonus, which is really useful because it is part of the killer skill that is effective, part of the time for this particular event. And so with these combination, for the fifth card, what I do is I also put in Zara, because Zara, even though it's a support card, it does have the Dispel against Power Gem Silence, which comes in handy most of the time in my fights. Otherwise, I would put in the event card Debris for the other cases. And so what I want to do is talk about different options now. So option one is the card that, this deck actually uses a couple of commander cards. So the first one is the Jinjombre card. Now this is a Magic Collection hero because it's useful because it does have the gem rain. So what this does is it will increase the earth gemfall by 60 gems. And basically you can increase the gems that will actually fall when you destroy gems. It works really well with the Magic Collection card or Debris in this case. And so if you don't have Jinjombre, you can also use Hanzo. And the other card that you can use if you don't have that is the Earth Dragoon Noxious Nepenthe. And so to complement against that card is you can use Debris, for example, and if you have a couple of them, they will also work really well because each time you activate a battle skill, it will destroy at least 15 non-earth gems, and then it will destroy more as you go on as you continue to attack with your earth team. And then finally, what you can also then complement is Matcha. So I mentioned this in the stream. So Matcha is a card that is available in the 20 Dust shop as well. So you can get this card in the 20 Dust shop because it's an ultra rare card. Its battle skill is very similar to the ultra rare card of this event. It will create a Earth Power Gem 2. And then one additional one for every 5 gems on the board. Now it does create less power gems compared to the current ultra rare card, but it does help overall in building up the gems here. Now for the fifth card here, I put in Zara just because I want to make sure that I can dispel Power Gem Silence. You can replace this card if you're not going up against a boss that uses Gem Silence. You can use any other card that can either create more power gems or you can build up or you can have more more attacks. But I put this card in there because it does have the 10 times bonus. It's a generation 3 card. Now one thing you want to be careful of is since there are already 2 commander cards in here, you're going to have less gems that you're going to be creating from your team on the first turn. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go and try this out just to see how much damage we can actually deal with this particular team and how you would actually play. And so on turn 1, it's fairly straightforward. As with all teams, you want to make sure that you can charge them up. Now all of these cards have a 3-turn cooldown except for even Matcha. So Matcha also has a 3-turn cooldown, so it works really well. And what you can do is you can simply activate from left to right. And so what you can see here is as I destroy gems, more gems are actually falling because of the gem rain from Jinjombre. Now what you can do is activate Matcha to get more power gems on the board. And then when we basically I'm actually skipping using the support card because in a situation where you're actually trying to go up against bosses and trying to get the MVP, you can actually end up losing your spot because of the fact that other people are hitting, and then when you nuke, you would actually lose the turn. And so let's go ahead and activate everything again, and let's see how much damage you do. And this time I am going to activate it because it does have a little bit of an attack boost. And so let's see how much damage we can deal with this. And so with this team, we can deal about 60 billion or so damage against this particular boss. Now this is against a guild boss, which is a Radiant. And so let's see with the attacks that we did do. So I did a couple of sort of 0 attacks. So we were able to deal about 83 billion damage. Now, given that this is just an assembled team that isn't using a lot of the Magic Collection cards or anything like that, this is not too bad of an option. And now let's actually take a look at option 2. So the second option here, I'm choosing to use 2 copies of Berserker Ayla. This actually is a different mechanic here where I'm looking to fill up the board with gems using a passive ability and also the sort of shared battle skill from Berserker, which will then create 3 earth gems when hit by an enemy. And so we have 2 of these. If you have 3, you can actually fill up the board with that as well. I just have the 2 cards, so that's what I'm going with. I also got Jack First, which was from the previous collection. So it was a Fennec I got, and it is a Earth Slayer card that is empowered. So I'm using this card as a leader so that I could actually power up my entire team, and it does have a couple of gem creations capabilities. You can create 3 power gem 2s and increases attack a little bit. This team actually doesn't have any this team doesn't it has the 2 support cards, so I could have used those as leader as well, so you could really replace that with any other cards as well. Debris is the event card, and then I again put in matcha there so that I can get power gems based on the fact that more gems will be on the board. So let's go ahead and take on another guild boss here, and again this boss has poison as the counter skill, and so we're not worried about getting hit by power gem silence. So we're gonna go ahead and show how this deck works. So on turn 2, after you've gotten the power skills to activate, go ahead and activate just the Berserker Ayla, and you don't need to worry about matching. You just need to make sure that you activate it the turn before you're supposed to get hit. And so you can see we almost fill up the board with gems here, and then we're going to go ahead and use Debris afterwards, and then finally use Matcha. And so this lines up the gems nicely if you don't fill up the board with gems there. And you can see here we actually deal a lot more damage here. I think this one hit was actually above 100 billion there, and we also have some nice gem spawns from our passive ability, and every time we get hit we're actually spawning gems as well. And so you want to try to save the power gems if possible, but in this case I had to make a gem match there. But we're going to fill up the board pretty nicely here, so we're going to go ahead and queue up our battle skill, and then we're going to see how much damage we can actually deal here. So let's go ahead and take a look here, and so this will then give us about 200 billion here. And so this team actually works really well for a couple of reasons. We'll talk about that as well. So number one, because there is more Generation 3 heroes on the board, you do more damage. And we can see that this particular team, we were able to deal 371 billion. And because Jack First is a spirit hero, I was able to actually use the relic from one of the first Earth relics. This is also a revive one. It only revives if you have a spirit card in the team, which I do. So I actually gain the benefit of getting a revive as well. So this team works really well. If you have Jack First, I would recommend putting him in there. So this is a deck that is, again, relatively easy to obtain if you don't have the full event card, and so it's event deck. So I think this actually works pretty well. Then we're going to take a look at option 3. So with the shop, if you take a look at the Drill Fist shop in the deal depot, you can see that the weekly deals actually contains the Master Collection card Abarca, which is one of the staple cards for creating a lot of power gems, especially if you're looking for sort of options to help fill out your team. And so what I've done here is I already have the Satyr of Root, and I have a Noxious Nepenthe, which actually is specialized to be giant. So this basically acts like a Barca. And so I have those 2 cards. I have Zara as the leader here for leader bonus. And then I have Debris as a card that will, again, another Generation 3 Slayer. And then I put in Chantel here because she will create 3 power gem 4s. In order for this deck to work, you need to have a card that can actually create power gem 4s. Other cards that can give you the same ability would be Skyworm Kachina. So Skyswarm Kachina creates 4 power gem 4s right off the bat. You can also use the actually, if you have it, you can use the ultra rare card, which is Georgia or Jogaya. So Geogaya actually will create power gem 4s based on the amount of attacks, and she is available in the store as well, but it does cost a little bit more gems. And so we're going to take a look at this deck here, and so this deck requires you to actually have the power gems available, so the 4 power gem 4s already on the board before you activate Satyr and Abarca, or in this case a specialized Noxious Nepenthe. And so what you want to do is this time you actually want to activate from right to left. And so we're going to go ahead and activate everything, including Zara here. And then you can see here, we actually can create more power gems because of the fact that we have at least 4 power gem 4s or more on the board. And so in this case, you always want to make sure that you save a power gem 4 on the board. And we don't have poison dispel here, unfortunately. So we're going to I think we have poison dispel. We just didn't get dispel here. And so this card, Chantel, has a 4-turn cooldown, so it is 1 turn less than the other cards. So that's the only downside to this. When you pick cards that can generate power gems, you want to make sure that you understand the cooldown as well. And I could have actually gone 1 turn earlier there, and I didn't. And so if you go fast, you could actually deal quite a bit of damage. So you can see here that is almost 300. That's close to 300 billion right there in that attack. That's about 250 or so. So we're actually going to deal even more damage in this particular setup. And so let's go ahead and speed up a little bit and see how much we can do this time around. And so we're going to activate everything. And we're also going to get a little bit of heal from Debris, and also some heal from Abarca as well as Satyr. So these are all sort of nice benefits to keep you alive a little bit longer. And again, we're going to be dealing nice damage there. So I would expect this to come out to about at least 500 billion or so after that's all said and done. And we're going to do one more match here, and then we're going to be able to actually activate everything if I can do this fast. Yeah, so unfortunately I couldn't get the timing in there, but let's take a look and see how much damage we dealt there. So we had about 300 billion or so, and after this we were up to a trillion, and so we were able to deal over 700 billion damage with that particular team. And so again, just because you don't have the full event team, doesn't mean that you can't deal good damage against the guild bosses. And so these are the 3 options which I think are pretty good, based on the fact that there is a Master Collection card in this case from the, there are Master Collection cards I'm showing here, but you don't have to use them. There are other cards that you can use that give you Power Gen 4s, but these are teams that I think are at least easier to obtain. And hopefully if you already have these cards laying around, they're going to be helpful for you. So that's all for today's episode. Hopefully this helps you, and hopefully you're having a good time with this event. We're going to come back in the next event on Friday, where we do the preview for the upcoming event, No Idol Left Behind. So again, thanks very much. I'll see you next time. Take care.